What is up, everybody? Good Monday morning. We've got some crazy news. We've got some movement on the charts. We're going to cover it. We're going to bring it all to you this morning. It's going to be a lot of fun. Tim is in a very important meeting up at Hit Network in Atlanta. We're going to be releasing some updates about what's going on up there with Tim a little bit later today. But I am joined by Army Piper. We're going to bring you some awesome news and run through the charts. But before we do, let's go ahead and introduce Army Piper. Army, how you doing this morning?
Hey, brother, doing fantastic, man. Back from Austin, getting all settled back in. Glad to be back to my major setup here, because doing what I was doing in Austin was fun, but not exactly the setup that I'm used to operating on at home. So I'm glad to be here, man, and I'm glad that Tim's got some things going on, but I'm very excited about you and I on the show today, continuing the dynamic duo, and we got Crux in the background in here with us, going to be throwing in some support from the flat here on the front line of troops as we do this. So, man, I'm glad to be here, bro.
Absolutely. I love it. Well, we've got some crazy headlines here. First Republic Bank seized and sold to JPMorgan Chase. Going to be covering that. Venmo adds some new crypto functionality we'll be talking about. Some really old banks are weighing in on what could be ahead for crypto. And Franklin Templeton launches a new fund on the Polygon chain. So we'll be talking about all that. But before we do, and before we get into the charts here that are going to be brought to you by Chart Prime, and Army Piper is going to jump into those. Before we do that, we're going to go ahead and read some names. So live right now, the first name I saw, and you can triangulate this for me, Piper, is a Mellow Fellow. I believe a Mellow Fellow was first. I'm not 100% sure on that because sometimes we get different outcomes depending on the stream that we're looking at. But that looks like the first name that I saw. Piper, is that the first name you saw?
That's what I got to, a mellow fellow with the GM bros. That's what I got there. So,
all right. Well, congratulations to a Mellow Fellow. You got your bot up and running and well oiled. We love to see it. Eric Wallen coming on in. We see Joe Nickel sliding into third, and then Eric Wallen and a Mellow Fellow, and Mike Lowry, Mike Play, Gia S, Crypto Pew Pew Cruz, love it. Ebb and Fellow Crypto, Curtis Rorick, a Mellow Fellow, getting in there again. Jay Incar, Crypto Trades, bop. Gotta love Crypto Trades. Hope you're having a good morning, my man. Ninja Glock, Mike Lowry, Justin Eubanks, Crux of Crypto, getting in there with the GM, everyone. Tristan Allen, let's see, Alton Henderson, Obi C, CBD Suddy, and many more. Merrick Franek, and DGen from the blockchain.
Jenny from the blockchain. I was gonna say you can't forget him. He tags us in Twitter and is a mad supporter of us. So we even talked about him. We even talked about him at the conference, at the consensus conference. Every time you get caught with the coffee, it's awesome, T-Stream. We even talked about him at the conference, by the way, Jenny on the blockchain, because we saw Sin City Crypto, and we talked to him about Jenny from the blockchain because he tagged us, Investing Bros and Sin City Crypto in a tweet. So got to give him a shout out. So.
Heck yeah. Love it.
Yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and get into our macro news. Piper, obviously you're going to bring that to us. So tell us what's ahead this week in the economy. I know that we've got a big CPI print, or not a CPI print. We've got a Fed decision. But what else is going on, and do we have any new fresh data this morning?
Yeah, so check it out, man. We got first off, we've got our economics calendar going on here. And what we're looking at on this for this week today, we got ISM manufacturing PMI. Nothing major on that front right there. Of course, tomorrow, a whole lot of inflation rate year over year flash for the European Union. We've got JOLTS job openings, which is going to be the how many jobs were created in the past month. But the big one right there, man, Wednesday, May 3rd. This is what everyone's watching. Everyone's waiting with bated breath, holding the breath, waiting to see what these numbers are. It is going to be our FOMC Fed interest rate decision. So it's going to be a little interesting to see the volatility running into this, and I am expecting a lot of volatility this week. Just to jump over here and show you what we're looking at on Trueflation, still coming in at under 4%. This is really good. Remember, our current Fed rate is at 5. The idea is get the Fed rate higher than the interest rate, than the inflation rate, and that pushes down inflation, right? Because people don't want to buy, lessens demand, so on and so forth. So this coming in at 3.91, just so that people know, because I get asked this all the time, Trueflation is based on the methodology of the old way of doing the inflation rate. The Fed government said, let's do it a different way and fix this a little bit so that it doesn't look so horrible. Trueflation still does it the old way. And according to Trueflation, we're actually better off than what the Fed even says. So, why are we waiting for May 3rd? Well, because it looks like we are at now at almost a 90% chance of 25 basis points on Wednesday. However, I just saw an article earlier, and I think I sent you that link, T-Stream, if you want to show that here in a bit, but it actually has JPMorgan, or maybe it was Goldman Sachs, one or the other. It's in that article, but they actually talked about that we are looking at a 25 basis point hike for sure, in their opinion, this Wednesday, but June will see a pause. So let's go ahead and jump over and see what that is looking like in June. Here's 14 June. If we go ahead and look here, yeah, absolutely. Looking at a pause, guys. Like this is what it's coming in very heavy for, a pause in June. So 25 basis points. Yep, go for it.
I've got that article pulled up whenever you want to pan over to me.
Perfect.
No rush.
But yeah, May 3rd, we're looking now it's 90.2. It actually just jumped in the time that I was talking about it. So 25 basis points is what we're looking at this month, next month in June, probably looking at the first pause that we have seen since all of this started over a year ago now. So let me jump back over to you, and you got that on your screen. Let's go ahead.
Absolutely. Yeah, but before I even get into that, Crux of Crypto, who's our trusty behind the scenes guy for now, might be coming from off behind the scenes and onto the scenes here pretty soon. So you guys can get excited about that. He tweeted 25 basis point increase incoming, and he retweeted this from Wall Street Silver, which is an image of it says if he hits no rate hike, then we get soaring inflation. If we hit 25 basis point rate hike, you get a banking crisis, continuation of the banking crisis, we should say. But that article, and that was from Crux of Crypto. You guys could go follow him on Twitter. But the article here is kind of talking about Federal Reserve FOMC meeting this week. Goldman Sachs preview signaling a June pause. This was released yesterday on Sunday, and it says the FOMC is likely to deliver a widely accepted 25 basis point hike to 5 to range 5 to 5.25% at its May meeting, but the focus will be on revisions to the forward guidance in its statement. We expect the committee to signal that it anticipates pausing in June, but retains a hawkish bias, stopping earlier than it initially envisioned because bank stress is likely to cause a tightening of credit. So Goldman Sachs here sharing kind of their insights on what to expect from the Fed this week.
Very nice. So yeah, that's what I'm seeing too, and that's what everything is telling me in the macroeconomics here. So
cool, excellent. All right, well, let's go ahead and pivot into kind of the charts. Let's see what's happening over the weekend to the price of Bitcoin and Ethereum. And Piper, there's nobody better suited to bring us that this morning than you are. So let's get into it.
Well, of course, that's because TA Tim is not here. So, hey, T-Stream, I need you to run point on all of the all of the crypto updates here in TA for me today. No, hey, check it out, guys. Looking at Bitcoin here on the 12-hour over the weekend, we did have a little bit of a dump going on right here. This happened last night, right about the closing last night. So quite interesting there, right? Had a weekly close, had a daily close, had a monthly close, all coming in right about the same time. And as soon as it printed, bam, dumped, right? However, what I do want to point out to you guys is that it's don't get too freaked out about this. There's some interesting stuff going on the charts. I do think we're going to have a lot of volatility this week, but I would not be overly concerned about what we're seeing with this pullback right here. And I got a couple of reasons to show you why. Let's go ahead and jump over here. Looking at this is a monthly chart, guys, on Bitcoin right here. And I'm looking at this candle right here. You can see this is our new opening right here. Let me go ahead and bring this in just a little bit for you so you can see it better. I don't want to leave no white lines. There we go. So yeah, you can see we had a little pullback here, but in comparison, it hasn't even engulfed yet, so we don't even have an engulfing candle here. We do have a flattening right here on the hash rate. This is the miners' hash rate of how much they're mining Bitcoins. Not turning at all yet, but look here on this monthly, guys. Look at this monthly right here. We're getting ready to cross on the MACD. It's almost to the 0 line. We might see a little bit of a pullback sometime in here that gives us one little final sliver like we had over here of red. But this is about to cross. And I want to show you guys what has happened historically when, let me go ahead and drop this down, and I'll show you what has happened historically when we've come out of the red and into the green on Bitcoin. You can see right here, we've come up here. Let me open that up a little bit. There we go. And you can see once we start into this move up here, there was a little pullback, which this would be in line with what Tim's been talking about. We might see that spike up, right? And then back down. But once it's in there and it starts to go into this green, it typically tends to be a run up. And if we look at the weekly, it's even more so. That's what I'm seeing here. We do have a little bit of a pullback here, but once we come back into this and we start to get this cool off here and it comes back up, I'm thinking that we're going to come down to about 26, maybe as low as 21.5 max now. I don't think we're going to be looking at anything below that level. Call me crazy. But I think we're going to stay inside of this range here. And the other point that I want to make out here, taking a look over here at my handy dandy horizontal channels here, my fib channels. Let's go ahead and just isolate this off and take a look. You can see we're coming back up right now for another push. We had one last week right here and it tried to get back up into the dynamic reactor, but right now we're rejecting to the downside. I think that on Wednesday, we're going to probably hit about the 50% point on this candle body here, and that's going to be it before we come back up. And I think this week on the FOMC, I do believe we might see a punch back to the top of this. We might get a little rejection like this again, but as long as we can stay in this range, and that's what I've been telling you guys, as long as we can stay within this range, I'm still very bullish on what's going to be happening with Bitcoin on the weeks ahead and the months ahead. So that's what I'm seeing for Bitcoin there. Let's go ahead and jump over into some Ethereum, show you what we're looking at over here. Nope, wrong chart. Let's go to that one. There we go. Bam. Ethereum, guys, doing a lot like Bitcoin, had a pullback there. I'm looking at 12 hours again here. You can see what happened in the past 12 hours. Bitcoin had a little pump up and then it pulled back down. Bears took control and we had that dumpski going on there. But if we go and look at Ethereum didn't actually get that pump up that Bitcoin got initially on this candle right here. This would be Sunday morning. Didn't really get that. Ethereum started the dump while Bitcoin started the pump. And then Bitcoin said, okay, nope, fake out. We're going to pull back. We're going to take all of this liquidity that you guys just FOMO'd in on, and now we're going backwards, right? But still, like I told you guys on Monday, we're still in the platinum pocket. And I told you guys we would probably range in this pocket here last Monday, I believe, or was it Wednesday maybe? I said, look, we had a pullback. We're still in this platinum pocket. We're still going to be pulling sideways here. As long as we stay in the platinum pocket, everything is showing good support, good resistance. This is just consolidation ranging here. We did have a wick down. I told you guys that we may come down to hit that dynamic reactor, that there was really good support down there. And let me go ahead and bring on the value area high too. I said we have dynamic reactor here, and we have a value area high that would give us great confluence in here for support. And that is exactly what we saw, a wick down to the dynamic reactor before actually taking off again back up into the platinum range. So last night, overnight, we did have a wick down that hit exactly on the 786 right here at 1825. And that's where we're just kind of still grinding sideways. So everyone just calm down. Looking at the oscillator right now, it's coming back into the cloud. But what I'm expecting is that this is going to cool off everything. RSI is starting to cool off a little bit, which I told you I wanted to see that too. I said I want to see a break through this line, give us a little cool off on the RSI, give us a little consolidation of liquidity and funds back into the market. And then let's get and hit this data coming out on Wednesday about the same time that we're hitting out here in the dynamic reactor. You can see that angle on it that's coming in here. If we look at Wednesday here, it's going to be about right there. That should put this dynamic reactor coming in right at the 786, giving us an amazing chance to bounce up, get out of this, and let's get some new highs going in here on Ethereum. So that's what I'm seeing on Ethereum and on Bitcoin. I do want to pull up one thing here just because it's all over the internet and everyone can't stop talking about it. So let's go check out some PayPay, shall we? Oh, I'm pulling up some DGen coin. This is what happens when you put Army on the TA handle, man. I'm gonna start pulling out some crazy mad DGen tokens here for everybody. Yeah, look at this, guys. Let's take this down to the 4 hour. So looking here on PayPay, looking at my PayPay here, from the 26th of April, last Wednesday, when we were joking about PayPay was starting to move. Up to the top here was a 700% move on PayPay. We're talking in a matter of what, 4 days? 4 days here, 5 days. We had a 700% run up on PayPay. So if anybody got in on PayPay, good on you. You guys deserve those gains. So yeah, I didn't buy PayPay, dude. I didn't. I don't buy meme coins. If I did, Crux would never let me survive it. He would criticize me daily about buying a meme coin. But you know, I mean, for 700% gains, I could have bought new friends. So I don't know.
Got him.
But yeah, it's look at this, guys. Heavily overbought. I don't know what we're gonna do with this. But I just want to warn you guys, do not FOMO into PayPay right now. That is not financial advice, but I'm just listen, do not FOMO into PayPay. Don't do it. You don't want to do that. It very easily could be just pull back and drop now. Don't FOMO into it. This is not the time to YOLO. You missed this big run. If you let it have a nice pullback and a consolidation and it holds in that level and it doesn't look like it looks like it's found strong support, which is probably going to be honestly somewhere around write these zeros down, please. 0.00000082,759. That is probably where you're going to find support at. And the reason that I say that is because right here, you've got this 2 wick tops here, and it's nice little level here of definitive support reaction. It was resistance, then it became support, right? That's what happened. So listen, if it comes back to that level and you want to throw a little bit into it, go for it. I mean, do your thing, right? But there's always another one, guys. If you miss PayPay, you may not get another chance at the PayPay, but there might be something new. Like what is there? Like, you know, Elon PayPay. Who knows? There might be a PayPay token that comes out with Elon Musk face instead of PayPay. I don't know. There might be a shroom. There might be a PB&J. I'm just saying, you know, PB&J might be the next big 700% mover. So that's what I got on the crypto side here. Unless there's a couple of things you want me to take a look at, I've got you know, the big movers, honestly, though, was the PayPay and everything else just kind of stuck in consolidation. I do want to pull up one thing here and show what's going on with the Dixie. Let me pull that up just to show you guys. We got a little action going on here on resistance for this. So let me drop it in here and isolate this chart off. I do want to show you what's going on with the Dixie because it's quite interesting. We keep getting rejection. I'm looking up Dixie on a 4 hour right now. We keep getting rejection on the dynamic reactor here. but we keep getting a lot of crazy support off of our delta here in the predictive ranges. So one thing that I noticed was is we had this nice little trend line going on right here that everything keeps bouncing off of, and we're still below that. If we break above this dynamic reactor and then break this, as a matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and do something here. I'm going to extend this out a little bit longer, and then in our Discord, if this breaks, I will let you guys know. But I'm going to go ahead and throw an alert on here. Let's add an alert on that trend line. If it crosses it only once, there we go. And that will go for 1 month. So, yeah, if we break up here and get a little bit of support on this dynamic reactor, get a little bounce, and then come up and break through this, this will be a definitive indicator for me that hey, some things are shifting, and we might be looking at some lower price levels coming in on Bitcoin, and of course the rest of the market that will follow suit with it. But if we continue to hold below this trend line, I said a long time ago I thought we were heading down to the 100 mark here because of this last target you see right there. My target goal for all of January, I thought we were coming down to here. We did end up hitting it over here in April. But yeah, I'm still. This has been on here for a long time, guys. I still believe this is going to be where our ranging point is. And everyone called this a double bottom because we had this bottom here and this bottom here. And on the higher time frames, they were like, that's a double bottom. We're going back up. But you see this suppression that just keeps taking place here. And it's just shoving that price action down. So I'm looking for a market shift. I'm looking for a sentiment shift in the markets. The big one is going to be to watch, which T-Stream is going to pull up, is going to be that 2 to 10 start to shift. And when that happens, it's free game. At that point, we start running. So that's what I got for some TA there, T-Stream.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I might have you pull up Cardano as well, because what I
No,
would say, guys, about the
I don't do A to TA, man.
but
No,
what I
it's
would
one of
say
my
about
biggest wallet holds. It's okay. I got it.
yeah, no, I love Ada. I think it's definitely a big sleeper. And what a lot of people are thinking about Pepe, did I saw in the comments a lot of people, Gia S, I think, said that she wished she bought it. I'm sure a lot of people wish they bought it. But what does Pepe really mean now? It means that the meme season is kind of among us, and the meme season is like it's a weird ghost season. It doesn't really happen at the same time in these cycles, in the 4-year cycles. The, um, and if you don't have any idea what I'm talking about, there's different coin seasons. So Bitcoin is always the first, right? It gets bought to the upside, and then that triggers kind of the ETH and Binance season, which are like semi alts. I mean, they are altcoins, but they're big, right? And then they'll kind of move in tandem with Bitcoin, but a little bit after it. And then you get the altcoins, right? Once everybody and their cousin has heard about these new Bitcoin millionaires, then they're like, oh, well, I want to find the next Bitcoin. And that's when it triggers a huge buying of altcoins. So then that's altcoin season. Well, meme coin season is elusive. It's unpredictable. And as we've seen, Alt Pepe has totally skipped all of the seasons and is front running. Bitcoin has not even had its season really. This movement to the upside is just kind of a test higher in a bear market. We have absolutely not got into a bull market yet. That has not been confirmed. So a big move up in a name like Pepe Coin is a little bit strange. But what it does indicate to me is that the meme coin season is on, right? And that is important because once we noticed on this channel Pepe Coin trending, right? We didn't really give it the time of day because there's meme coins that trend all the time, right? Well, now a meme coin that's starting to get popular and starting to have some swings and some movements to the upside, we're taking a lot more seriously. Now, seriously with an asterisk, right? Not taking it seriously as a project, but we're taking it seriously as something that could have some astronomical moves to the upside, as we saw in Pepe
Yep.
Coin. All right, so
Yep.
that's just kind of the way that we're thinking about it, kind of an actual serious kind of takeaway about the meme coin Pepe phenomenon. So, Piper, I'll throw it back over to you to get into Cardano, and probably by the end of that, we'll be ready for our market open at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time here.
Absolutely. Hey, someone, Rick Wilson said, no, actually, Omar CRS said that your mic is a little low. Can you bring your volume up just a little bit?
Absolutely.
All right,
I'll make it
perfect.
happen.
Yep. Either that or I can lower mine and we can come more in line. Guys, I'm working a
No worries.
new audio system. So if we sound a little bit off, just let us know in the chat. I appreciate that. It's how I level it out here. So
Is this better? Hear me a little better now?
I think so. I think we're
Yeah,
probably
we'll
about
see.
the same now. So there we go.
We hear.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and jump into the Cardano. Um, Looking at Cardano, and I want to show you guys something interesting going on here on ADA. Uh, ADA right now, getting on the 4 hour, getting this nice oversold down here. Hasn't quite printed the OS yet, and we haven't gotten the uptick arrow yet, like you see right here. However, we are starting to heat up on the oscillator. The RSI is starting to curve back up. But what I find really interesting here is this. If I throw on the chart patterns, when you get this gray dash line right here that you see, this is telling you that there is a possible head and shoulders pattern coming. Guys, we are creating right now an inverse head and shoulders predictive. No other indicator service out there that does patterns does these in the middle. They print when they're done. We are literally looking right now at the left shoulder. So this would be the line right here, the breakout line on it. This is going to be your left shoulder. This is going to be the head. So it's predicting that if this comes down lower here, it could create the head, come back up, and then get another shoulder here. And this would be the breakout line. As this starts to adjust, because it is a dynamic pattern until it prints it. Once it prints it, it will go like bright green or bright red. But right now, we are creating a possible inverse head and shoulders, and we are also coming to the end of this wedge. So it's going to be interesting to see if we get a fake out here, maybe to get that head, and then come back in to here, fake out on that, doing the shoulder because it would be coming down like this, right? That line, that old trend line, do the shoulder, and then we have this nice head and shoulders pattern giving us that nice breakup. So something interesting to watch there on ADA that I'm keeping an eye on. I would love to see that play out, and I will keep you guys updated in the Discord, which if you are not in the Investing Bros Discord, you need to get on in there because I will be dropping an update on what this pattern is doing on the 4 hour ADA in our community over there. So if you're not there, you should be there.
Yeah, definitely go check it out. Um, and from a Cardano standpoint, I haven't seen anything fundamental that has changed my mind about Cardano. It's still a hold. It's still a DCA. As the weeks go by. So that's kind of my thoughts on Cardano. I know some people who only buy Cardano. We were actually talking to somebody at Consensus. He's in the chat quite a bit. I don't think he'd mind us sharing. Greg Gressick, he's in the chat quite a bit. He might even be listening right now. Give us a holler, Greg, if you're listening. But he buys pretty much only Cardano. I think he's dabbled in other coins, but he's a buyer and a holder of Cardano, and we love him for it because we're big
only,
fans.
only he's an ADA Maxi
That's right.
for
And
sure.
Crypto Archie's bullish on ADA. It's not one of his coins that he thinks is going to like 500x or anything, but he's definitely bullish on it for the next bull run. So
Oh
that's
yeah.
going to bring us into our market open here, guys. We're going to slide right on in. If you want us to cover any coins, we will. Let us know, and we'll cover those at the end of the show if we have time. But just go ahead and shout those out in the chat, and Crux of Crypto will see that, make note of it, and bring it to our attention on the production side. And we'll do a little bit of TA on those coins again if we have time at the end. So we are coming up to the market open here. I'll go ahead and bring up the SPY just so that you guys can get a kind of a frame of reference of where the stock market is as we are opening on May 1st. So if you'll go over to my screen, Piper, you guys can see right here, the stock market is right up against a pretty big line of resistance right here. So it may have even pushed through. So let me turn on some of these indicators so we can see. Man, those just popped up really quick. Seeing seeing those pop up a lot faster now. So it's actually pushed through a major line of resistance there and is opening green. So as you can see, that first bar did open green. I'm going to quickly flash over to First Republic Bank and see where it's opening. So it looks like it may have gotten frozen, which is which is what I would expect to happen because as I tweeted, there was a pre-market print down at like 150, which would have just absolutely continued to annihilate that. So it looks like First Republic Bank is officially frozen by the New York Stock Exchange there. So that stock is no longer traded. That is not 100% confirmed, but that is what it's looking like as you're not seeing any price movement or any new candlestick prints for. Let's go to the daily just to confirm. And yeah, you're not seeing any movement there. But this morning in pre-market, it was down in a little less than $2. So let's go ahead and jump back over to the SPY and kind of see where these the daily candlestick is printing. So it looks like we are going to continue to make a move on the daily chart up to try to test this premium range again and try to test what I think is the upper band of the trading channel there. Yes, for chart primes, trading channels. These are the gold bars here, the gold horizontal lines. So the SPY came back down and kind of tested, sliced a little bit through, and then wicked down quite a bit, actually down to this pink line. But more or less used this bottom trading channel as a line of support there back in mid March. So since then, it's run up, come back through the dynamic reactor, and now the SPY is making a move for the premium zone up there at the top of the trading channel for chart prime. So that is going to be kind of our market open for the SPY, taking a look at the charts before we even get to the numbers. So let's go ahead and get to the numbers now. Everything opening up red. So the SPY, the NASDAQ, and the Dow Jones all red except the green here as I'm saying that. So that's somewhat encouraging, although you can interpret that as the market is buying up security. And why would they not with a headline like this? We'll get over to the headlines in a second, but just this is what the market is interpreting today. This is what you're seeing. First Republic Bank seized, sold to JPMorgan Chase. We're going to get into the details of that in just a second. Energy, all down across the board. Oil down 1.6%, natural gas down 1.2%. So that's going to be pretty interesting to watch. Tron, the only green name here for crypto, all the way across the board. Tron up 2.4%. A lot of volume in Tron. You saw that jump just then. Something's going on with Tron. Not exactly sure what. But Bitcoin down 2% and Ethereum down 1%. So very, very interesting movement there as you see red across the screen in the crypto space. Metals, totally different story. Silver getting bought aggressively, up 3.7%. Gold, kind of tepid, up 0.5%. Let's take a look at the silver charts. Holy crap, look at that big green candlestick. Something going on over in silver. There must be some whale that knows something about silver, or they're just trying to press up a good exit point for a larger whale. We'll see. But something's going on definitely in the silver narrative, and that is getting bought aggressively. Piper, have you heard or seeing anything, or do you have any theories of maybe why silver's up so much this morning?
I do not, man. I don't have anything, but we just got a pop in from a guest.
Okay. Who's that?
So it would be Bill Noble here, bro.
Oh, awesome. Oh, so he's on the show. Oh, excellent. Hey, how's it going, Bill?
Hi there. Thanks for having me. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you
Absolutely.
good.
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
great.
So for our audience, we were supposed to have Bill on, but there was a mix match of the times. Time zones are hard sometimes, guys, and we apologize. But Bill, I'm so glad that you were able to join us, and welcome to the show. I'm glad to hear that you're doing well this morning. Yeah, so we were just kind of doing our market open here. We're 4 minutes into the New York Open, and we're just kind of looking through the indexes, which are red this morning. But it looks like the SPY could be making a push higher to try and test this premium channel and see if it can't flip it into support. My bet is that it probably won't, and that we'll probably see some testing down to the downside, maybe the dynamic reactor. But that's kind of what we're seeing here, just to kind of round out our market open. Bill, the crypto is red across the board. Your mega cap tech stocks are mostly red. Bond yields are up this morning. The 2-year getting back above 4. So that's kind of and the big banks are very green this morning, very green. JPMorgan up 2.6 on the news that it is now owner of all of the deposits of FRC, of First Republic Bank. We'll get into the details of that in a second. But Bill, yeah, go ahead and sorry for the mix up. Why don't you go ahead and kind of let us know what you're seeing in the markets this last week, and what did you think of some of the candlestick closes for names like the S&P, the Nasdaq, and Bitcoin, and even oil across the board, gold. What are some of the things that stuck out to you from this last month's close?
Okay, great question. So let me bring this up. Can you see Bitcoin
Sure.
here? Okay. So this is Bitcoin monthly. And I think this is actually really simple when you look at the monthly close. Right. Back when you had COVID, okay, once you closed here in
So really
April.
quick, Bill, we can't see the screen yet. Piper, has he shared the screen?
Yeah, I'm getting.
Okay.
Okay, I unshared and now I reshared.
Okay.
Can you see that now?
Yes. Affirmative.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So this is Bitcoin monthly, right? Now, I'm sure I actually posted a tweet, which I'll get to in a minute. It's not my tweet, it's a retweet, but some gentleman has found that when you're in a down move and you close like in COVID on a
Mm-hmm.
monthly basis above the 38% retracement of the down move, which was April, that can ignite a larger up move.
Mm-hmm.
So if you apply that over here, this candlestick for April really becomes meaningful because they took out, or I'm sorry, it's getting close to taking out the 38% retracement, which is all the way up at 36K. So maybe I
Mm-hmm.
didn't draw that right. That might be it. The point is, when you look deep into Bitcoin, and I'm going to pull up DeMark work now. All right. So DeMark was a quant technical analyst. He would measure trends. The first part of a trend will measure 1 through 9. Each one of these numbers refers to a set of conditions being met, like the high was higher than the high 1 month ago. All right. So normally you'll have a trend and it'll have 9 parts in the beginning. Normally the dip that you get is somewhere around the 4th part. This is Bitcoin monthly. So what this is telling you is you could conceivably have 4 more up months for the initial trend up in Bitcoin. Now, how would that unfold? Well, let's talk about it. A lot of people think it's sell in May and go away.
Mm-hmm.
I think that could be true, except I think that's more at the end of May rather than at the beginning. A lot of times what happens is, especially when you get these like First Republic news items, any of the volatility around the item is either some sort of sell the fact or, don't laugh, it's probably a trick, honestly, to get people to puke out of Bitcoin right before it turns around and goes up. Now,
Mm-hmm.
here's the ironic scenario. Eclipses, lunar and solar, have been really good at predicting market behavior going back to FTX. It's a little outside the box, but it works. There's a lunar eclipse coming up on the 5th of May, and we have a Fed meeting coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And I suspect that just like the solar eclipse in April, the market will probably try to rally into the lunar eclipse. Okay. Giving you a chance or creating an ironic twist where, everyone's like, well, I'm too scared to buy it in front of the Fed, or I'm too scared to buy it because, and that's when Bitcoin can probably try to lurch higher toward 32K. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Coming back to Twitter, this was the tweet I was referring to with this individual who has done this 38% retracement work. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I guess his was on a log chart, right? This guy also has Elliott wave here showing okay, that there could be a 5-wave extension up in Bitcoin. All right.
Okay.
So what's the net? So the net is, goes something like this. Don't underestimate the fact that not only Bitcoin, but also possibly equities could really start rallying because $1 in Bitcoin or $1 in equities is better than $1 in the bank. You also have to consider in equities, because you brought up, like, equities are headed for the top of that channel, right? Or the top of that resistance. So what are they going to do when they get there? Well, I think a lot of people are bearish, and I think a lot of mutual funds have missed out on this sort of uptick, and they may wind up getting forced in. And if they do, the narrative will probably be artificial intelligence as a cost saver, which was the same thing as they had back in the days of the internet, which, believe it or not, I was actually around for in 1999 and 2000.
Interesting.
So if you see red across the board today, be careful that you're not getting sucked in, because Bitcoin could be starting a stair step higher. The dip could be in June, followed by a summer rally. So if I had to kind of open it up, I guess we can talk about 2008 parallels if you want, but that's kind of how I would open it up.
Okay. Okay.
So,
Yeah, no, I like that. I mean, we definitely have been kind of going back and forth on the sell in May narrative, just trying to figure out what might be going on with that. It's a narrative that I've been buying into. I've definitely been having conversations with people asking me, "Hey, where is Bitcoin going from here?" And I've been saying, you can, if you don't have any Bitcoin, definitely buy now. Some with probably a quarter of what you could afford to lose. Just definitely don't FOMO in now, but you don't want to be unexposed completely. But that will probably be getting a good entry point, kind of as you said, like in towards the end or the mid of summer, and certainly towards the beginning of fall. We'll likely have seen a sell-off due to some just that meme in the stock market of sell in May and go away. I think that is going to be pretty impactful because the Fed, again, looks like they're going to do another 25 basis point hike. And they've said, and they're continuing to go down the path of inducing a recession in the U.S. economy. That's what they've explicitly stated. They want that, and it makes sense from their frame of reference that that's what they want. They want to damage demand. They want to reduce it to help curb inflation. So all of the kind of the tea leaves have kind of been saying to me is go ahead and follow that trend, sell in May and stay away, and then get a better entry point later in the summer. But what I'm kind of hearing from you, Bill, is that thesis may be kind of coming into question here, as a lot of institutional money may want to actually move out of equities and cycle into crypto. That has some bullish momentum that is unique to crypto and that is not shared by the equities, but could be shared in metals. So that's what I would say is like, well, what's stopping money from rotating into silver and gold? Like this morning, we're seeing the biggest buy up of silver that I've seen at the market open probably ever.
so I have a question also.
Go ahead.
When you get done answering that one, Bill. So
Okay, so with Bitcoin and silver, right? I mean, silver is in a broader 5-wave higher. Let me see if I can pull that chart up. Okay, so let me. Okay, I'm still sharing. So are you showing silver here?
Yes,
This is silver on a weekly chart. So when you have Elliott wave, right? Normally you'll have 5 waves up. And if the 2 wave is small or brief, the 4 wave is usually long, choppy, and drawn out. And that's exactly what you have here, right? Silver started higher in 2020, right? Then it dipped briefly in May. There was a sharp rally higher when the Fed printed 6 trillion. And then since then, the market has done nothing but go sideways to go down. All right. Now, if this is 1, 2, 3, 4, right? The next leg up is 5. All right. So
Mm-hmm.
you have a simple and plain 5-wave up, which, as you know, is very emotional. Now, if you look over here, just generally at the 5-wave itself, every big trend in Elliott has 5 parts. So for the 5-wave, you've got the first part, the second part, and now you're in the third part of the 5-wave.
Mm-hmm.
So 3 waves are characterized by very impulsive behavior, right? In other words, you get a lot of gratification without taking a lot of heat. And you have this structure occurring inside of an emotional larger move up. So if you just look at silver from like a technical point of view, this can get impulsive and emotional at the same time. All right. So now when it comes back to Bitcoin, my guess is that the biggest challenge for Bitcoin is that rising Bitcoin embarrasses the US government. Okay. Very simply. And when you have the US government getting embarrassed, they're probably going to try to push back in June. That's a guess. In other words, they would say, all right, we'll do something on the regulatory front. That's why I think it could be sell at the end of May and go away. And the way I'm kind of handling it is I'm doing not investment advice, but buy in July and watch it fly. Right. If you just look at Bitcoin like daily, right? You've got this 13 top, which could slow it down, but there's moving average work here from the DeMark stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm telling people like there's support, and I don't think I want to get sucked in. I don't want to get sucked in thinking that this is going lower. It might go, this is a 4-hour chart. It might go lower for 4 hours. Okay. But when you start thinking about what can happen in metals and you start thinking about what can happen, in equities, because again, I mean, if you had money in a regional bank this morning, I mean, really?
Sorry.
Right?
Sorry about your life choices.
It's not a bank run, it's a bank walk, right? Slowly but surely, everybody's been walking over. And then if you go to something like Tex Metals, right? That's the big metals dealer where I live in Texas. I mean, I saw silver eagles. And I'm trying to see if I can pull it up now. Silver 1-ounce coins with spot trading at something like, $29, something like that. I'm going to share the screen. Silver eagles are trading at $45 a coin.
Wow.
Right? When I bring this up here. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, actual silver bars are not trading at this price. But when you're paying $46 for a coin, I mean, eagles are the top. They're the Bitcoin of the silver market. But come on, man. I mean, people are selling Bitcoin at 25K and they're at 28K when they're paying $46 for silver coins. Why? Because people got to get their money out of the banking system, dude. You got to I'm getting phone calls from high net worth individuals who are saying, how do I learn about Bitcoin? How do I buy it? How do I pull it off into Ledger or Arculus or whatever? So you can't, and I know that this is completely counterintuitive, but the same is going to go for equities, right? In other words, if you look, this is just S&P weekly, right? S&P has not been able to get through this level around 4,200 for a while, right? It's been here since May of last year. Now, let's say you're a Schwab customer. I actually used to work there. You're a Schwab customer, right? Now, you have a choice. You can put your money in a CD, which is most likely issued by a bank, It's FDIC insured, but do you really want to deal with that? You could put your money in a money market fund, which everyone thinks is safe, which laughably holds the same type of short-term bank debt, and your money market fund is not FDIC insured. So everyone's flooded into that. Then people are going to start realizing that, wait a minute, why don't I just put it in Coca-Cola? Again, not investment advice, right? Why don't I just stick it, because $1 anywhere, it's SIPC insured, meaning if your securities are lost, they'll be replaced. That doesn't guarantee the value. But securities or crypto is just completely better than a bank deposit. And then you've also got to consider, just briefly, I have been a DXY hater since Bloomberg Magazine said the dollar was unstoppable when it was at 111. I guess we can go through it more later on in the show. But I mean, if you look at DXY, and I've got some hidden pivot analysis I've done on this, the dollar index cannot get above 102, even though we're theoretically in a crisis. Okay. There's $17 trillion in the U.S. system, in the banking system, deposits. The Fed cannot print that. It can't. Just can't. And the U.S. dollar is probably going to lose a lot of credibility. And frankly, I think the Fed actually wants that, because if you read an economics textbook, the only way out of a debt crisis, right, like a crisis where the government owes too much, the banks have managed risk poorly, the only way out of a debt crisis is to devalue the currency. Now, we don't have to go crazy and say the U.S. is Argentina, because I think that's all over crypto Twitter. But there is a huge precedent for, America and other countries allowing the dollar to just fall apart. Okay. It happened. If you go back, if you look at a quarterly chart, and this of course speaks to Bitcoin and silver, right? When you look at this, back in 1985, the G7 got together and said, we think the dollar should be lower. It would be helpful. And they gave dealers license to sell, and the dollar index went from 160 to 95 in a period of like a year. Now, if you go over here and you look at the dollar index, right? I mean, how much room does this have to go down?
Yeah.
You just eyeball it, right? All right. So I don't want to go on too much.
Yeah.
The point is
this.
No
worries.
Massively lower dollar, higher metals, higher crypto, and the thing that is so bizarre, and it kind of chokes me a little to say it, but you could have a blow off top in equities. Probably the best looking example of this, again, just giving somebody full credit. This guy Zeberg here with this chart, he does a little Elliott wave work.
Yeah, let's go to his screen to see that chart.
Yeah. So, again, this is not my chart. This comes from Henrik Zeberg. So just, being fully transparent. But, in Elliott wave, when you have an ABC correction, I've read from Prechter's work that, you can actually get a new high, right? Now, he's doing this on MSCI Emerging Markets Fund. But it's really interesting that what he's thinking is equities may challenge the high. And then just like in 1929 and 87, you could have a massive decline or mean reversion in the fall. So here's how I would follow what goes on in equities. There's a guy named Chris Carolyn who has a book called The Spiral Calendar. He won an award from Barron's in 1998. Okay, Barron's, that's like Wall Street Journal weekend, for his work on solar and moon cycles as it related to the biggest crashes in equities in the fall. And one of the things that he has, just to keep it simple, is that if you've got 2 solar eclipses in 1 year, that matches up with 29 and 87. Now, correlation does not equal causation, but when you have $1 in stocks is better than $1 in the bank, you've got a chart by an Elliott wave guy that shows, say, emerging market stocks. I mean, if emerging market stocks can make a new high, right, so can regular stocks. If they can make a new high before you have a dramatic C leg correction, one of the things I tell my audience about C legs down, right, or you could call it the last part of a big correction, they can be nasty, really nasty. So let's follow this. Metals up. Bitcoin, buy in July and watch it fly. Then there will probably be a disturbance in Bitcoin, I'm guessing in September, in front of any move like this. Then coming out of this year, assuming equities don't go to zero, okay, Bitcoin's going to decouple, right? And I think one of the reasons that could lead to the decoupling is also what's going on with bonds, right?
Okay.
You know,
Before we let's stop short of opening up the chapter
sorry.
of bonds. We'll have you
Okay.
back on to kind of chat through that. No worries. We do stop this show at 10 o'clock now. So
Okay.
what I'd love to do is just kind of get into the top 2 stories, a little bit of details about those, and then we can, if with the time remaining, which won't be much, we can chat about that a little bit. But folks, before I get into these stories, go ahead and check out the links in the description. If you're watching this video live, those links may not be in there quite yet, but
I
go
put
ahead
them
and
in
check
there.
out Bill. Oh, excellent. Army is ahead of the game every time. Definitely go ahead and check out those links for Bill Noble. I believe it's his Twitter and his YouTube. You put out a lot of really great content down there, Bill. So without further ado, let's go over my screen and get into some of these details of these stories. So the biggest one that is going to move the market, we've seen it this morning already. First Republic Bank seized and sold to JPMorgan Chase. So the regulators seized this bank. Let's see. The Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation said earlier today, that First Republic Bank's 84 branches in 8 states will reopen as branches of JPMorgan Chase, and depositors will have full access to their deposits. So no reason to panic, but more than likely you do not have money in First Republic Bank because it's mostly people like Mark Zuckerberg who have their money in these types of banks. So as of April 13th, First Republic Bank had approximately 229 billion in total assets and 104 billion in total deposits. FDIC said the FDIC estimated its deposit insurance fund would take a 13 billion hit from taking First Republic into receivership. It did 20 billion to do the same with SVB. So just giving you guys some frames of reference there. Another big development is that Venmo is shaking up the crypto world with exciting new transfer feature. Long story short here, guys, is that you can now send and receive crypto on Venmo. Would I use Venmo to custody my crypto? No, because there's fees that are very high compared to the Robinhoods and the Binance.US's of the world, or just the Coinbases of the world. So while exciting news for adoption, folks watching this stream will probably have a little more crypto sophistication than to use Venmo for that. No offense, Dad, because I know my dad uses Venmo for buying Bitcoin. And then this is an encouraging headline: 400-year-old bank says Bitcoin set to reclaim finance sector spotlight. That bank is, see if I can just find that really quick, the German investment bank Berenberg. So you guys can go read more about that if that's interesting to you. And then there's a couple more stories, but unfortunately, guys, we are out of time. So let's just go ahead and let Bill Noble kind of give his final thoughts. Bill, take as much time as you'd like within reason, and just kind of give us, a wrap up of your thesis. If you wanted to dip into bonds a little bit more, you can go ahead with that, but definitely kind of just give us your overall kind of approximation of where, major assets, equities, Bitcoin, bonds, where they're all going to be going through the end of the year.
Okay, I think we can sum this up with, two slogans and two charts, right? A dollar in the bank, a dollar in Bitcoin is better than a dollar in the bank. A dollar in equities is better than a dollar in the bank. Now, you have U.S. 30-year bonds, right? This is what the mortgage rate is attached to. 30-year bonds do not necessarily follow the Fed. They can measure the credibility of the United States, right? That can be one of their functions. Now, if you look at this chart, right, 30-year bonds are forming a flag. There's a former resistance point up here at 475. So the Federal Reserve, this very simply, may continue to tighten until things break. They may. And one of those things could be the long-term Treasury market. So higher interest rates could be the disturbance in June that gets you the dip in Bitcoin. At a big picture level, this is a DeMark chart of BlackRock. BlackRock is the largest holder of commercial real estate. Regional banks have the largest exposure to commercial real estate. So nobody can pay their bills in commercial real estate. Normally what happens when you have a DeMark move to a 9, you'll have a rally in the opposite direction. And this was a failed rally, okay, monthly. And then this is eventually probably going to have 7 down months. So the case for avoiding, if you look at the BlackRock chart, banks, commercial real estate will not survive the year. Equities may do well before the reckoning happens in October. And Bitcoin, again, it's not investment advice. It feels like you got to buy every big dip until proven wrong, because how awful would it be to be in crypto and miss the decoupling, right? And that's how I would round out that's how I would round out my message and keep you on time.
Well, that's it. You heard it. That is the Bill Noble take as of right now, May 1st. Going into this new month, we've seen how the candle closed last month, and that is Bill Noble's take. So, folks, while you're on your way out, please be sure to leave us a comment down. Let us know what you thought about what we've covered today, and leave us a like, and consider subscribing to the Investing Bros. Guys, it's been a real pleasure for you all to be in the chat. Those of you who have been watching us live, thank you guys so much for your continued support and contributions in the chat to help us try to figure out what to cover. Unfortunately, we were not able to get to those altcoin TA. We're going to more than likely cover that throughout the rest of this week. So make sure you stay tuned and stay subscribed. We are the Investing Bros. We are one of the fastest growing YouTube channels, but we are the most generous online investment communities. So thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow in the next video.
Hey, Bill, stick around. We'll talk to you after the show, brother. You guys take care.
Okay.
Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor, the TA. Shout it out loud on the PA. T-Shrooms News got the word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividend. Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros.
Investing bros. Investing bros. Investing bros. Investing bros. Investing bros.